You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney Theme Parks podcast. And this is show number 401 for Sunday, the 20th of March, 2022.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Hello there, Jane.
Hello there, Michelle. How are you doing? I'm sitting in front of my bedroom window where I'm recording this, and I have blue skies and sunshine, so it's making me feel all nice and warm inside. Not sure about you, though, this week.
Well, I'm actually looking out at the window and I have got the self-same blue skies, but I'm a tad frazzled, Janie. It's been a mental week, but can I just say, on Wednesday I did a something ridiculous like 12 or so hour day, and it ended with parents' evening.
Yes.
And my very last parent was running late, so I'd packed everything up and I was ready to scoot out of the building, and she just turned up and I thought, oh, okay, come on, let's sit down, let's have a chat about your child. And she'd brought me a carrier bag of food for my dinner.
Oh, see, some parents are nice to us educators, aren't they?
And guys, seriously, I know everyone raves about the wonderful food over at Sanaa, over at Animal Kingdom in Florida, but this food was the most beautiful Asian food. I had chicken samosas and a curry dish, and it was sublime. It was the best food, and that is why I won't go and eat at Sanaa or Boma or rave about those places, because it's not a touch on the nice stuff I get at home. So
you are very fortunate, Michelle, to live in a part of the UK where you have authentic Asian food on your doorstep. So enjoy.
Can I just clarify though, when Jane and I refer to Asian, we're not referring to Chinese.
No.
Asian for us, and I suppose, Tom, this is some education for you. Asian for us refers to people of the Bangladeshi, Pakistani heritage rather than Chinese.
Very interesting. I did not know that.
Oh, and there he is. I've mentioned our guest for the week. Hello and welcome to this week's show, Tom Amin.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on again. It's good to be back with you guys and talking Disney and food and music and all kinds of our favorite subjects.
Definitely.
Oh. Well, we will be talking some music, but we've got a little bit of history to start, and I'm handing over the mantle to Jane because she digs up the history for me.
I have done. I've actually got 3 little bits, and there's actually a musical connection.
Ooh.
In all 3.
Ooh. Nice.
I'm kind of on it this week. I'm going to start with the 20th because we're talking, our show is the 20th of March. We're going to go back to 1948. This goes back to the 20th Academy Awards in Los Angeles, and Disney won 2 Oscars for the film Song of the South. So Ali Rubel and Ray Gilbert won for their song Zippity Doo Dah, which we all know and love.
Yeah.
But the actor James Baskett, who portrayed Uncle Remus, actually got an honorary award for his portrayal of Uncle Remus. Now, this was the first male black actor or performer, I think they actually referred to him, to ever win an Academy Award. And it was an honorary award because at that point in time, they didn't actually award any black actors the main awards like the lead actor or whatever. So it was a special honorary award that was created to recognise his achievements in that role, which I thought was quite interesting. And you don't realise quite how close in time actually these things have actually changed. So I thought it was quite a sobering thought really to realise that in 1948.
And quite sad, Jane, to be quite honest, to think that it's only decades away, to be frank.
Yeah, and actually another little bit of sadness was that 4 months after he'd received this award, he actually died, and he was only 44 when he died, and that was of heart complications because he was diabetic.
Again, medical advancements have gone on leaps and bounds, and it's such a shame because he played such an amazing role. And when you see the character he played in the film, he was playing an old storyteller of you'd have pitched him at 60, 70 years of age, not in his 40s.
I must admit, when I discovered this, I was straight onto good old Wikipedia and having a look, because I was thought, well, I'm sure he would look much older than that. And yeah, you would not have thought it was the same person, but Yeah, there we go. Going to jump forward a day to the 21st of March. And I have to confess, this is a musical film that debuted at Radio City Music Hall in New York on this day. And I had not heard of this film. So here you go, Michelle and Tom. Film is called The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band.
Never heard of it.
There you go. But it was set against the backdrop of the 1888 presidential election. Doesn't sound the most enthralling subject matter, if I'm honest, for a musical film. And it portrayed the musical talented Bauer family. Now, the cast, there's a few names I think you'll recognise. We had Walter Brennan, Buddy Ebsen, John Davison, Leslie Ann Warren, Kurt Russell, Richard Deacon, Wally Cox, John Walmsley, and Goldie Hawn, and this made her big screen debut.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
But the songs were featured in it. There was 9 songs, and they were all written by Richard and Robert Sherman.
Wow.
Exactly. I'm thinking, how do I not know this bit of information? This is like, I should know this, but I didn't. So I've not only have I researched, I've actually learnt something today as well. There you go.
Every day's a school day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And this is the sort of schooling I like. I like to be schooled about Disney. This is good. And then my other one that goes back a day on the 19th of March, and it goes back to the Oscars because we're in that season, aren't we? It's Oscars and goodness knows what else at the moment. And there was a true life adventure short called Waterbirds that actually won an Oscar at the 25th Academy Awards. Now, the 25th Academy Awards apparently were the first award ceremony, Academy Awards, to be hosted on TV, and they were hosted by Bob Hope. So slight musical intervention there because he's a bit of a music man. But the music awards were presented by Walt Disney. And there's a quote, and I just love this quote, and this is a quote by Bob Hope. And he says, "You know, when we called Walt Disney and asked him to present the music award tonight, we said, Walt, with all the songs that you've commissioned for your pictures and what with Fantasia and all, you would be the right man to do it. After all, think about how much you had done for music and Hollywood." And his warm reply was, "I would have thought it was the other way around." In any case, Walt fought his way through all of the Oscars in his living room to our stage tonight, one of the great theatrical inventors of modern times, Mr. Walt Disney. And that was said by Bob Hope. And I just love that last line, one of the great theatrical inventors of modern times. I thought it still stands true today, doesn't it? So I just love that little piece, that little nugget that I found.
Oh, thank you for that.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's very nice.
Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've got some news rather than
Right.
history. And
Okay.
Tom, tell me a little bit. Do you have any Irish heritage at all in your lineage?
I actually wish I did because I love Ireland. I have not visited. I have yet to go see it, but I love the culture. I love the country. It looks gorgeous, but no, I'm half Italian and half Lebanese, so no Irish in me.
Right. Well, they are selling, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, a green corn dog.
No.
Hello, any takers? I'm giving them away for
No.
free.
I'll take one. I'm hungry. I'll eat one.
I just thought of all the colours you could dye food. Bogey green. Yum.
But this is the thing, isn't it? We're going to make St. Patrick's Day celebrations. So what do? We just dye everything green?
Yeah, basically.
Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know we shouldn't eat with our eyes, but we do, don't we? And therein lies the problem.
And then I saw over at the Red Rose Tavern over at Disneyland that they've introduced the green stuff, which is basically the grey stuff with green food dye. And it made me think of a Christmas tree because it didn't link to me. It was for St. Patrick's Day because obviously it looks like a Christmas sort of splodge on a biscuit instead of the red stuff or grey stuff or whatever stuff. So that was a little bit of foodie talk. And while we're talking foodie talk, we all got really excited about the turkey legs going to Disneyland Paris, Tom. Okay. Have you ever partaken in a turkey leg?
I have not partaken in a turkey leg.
I'm giving you a virtual high five now because I
Okay.
am team no turkey leg, whereas I think Jane is probably team turkey leg now.
Well, I think
Oh.
I've converted. I don't think years ago I would have been team turkey leg, but now because I'm more of a keto carnivore eater, then yes, I probably would. And I have partaked in years gone by, I have to admit.
Okay. I just think they're so big. I could never finish it. And aren't they really salty
Yeah.
as well?
They are a bit, yeah.
But Tom, don't worry. We've got it sorted for you. So the American turkey legs are huge, literally huge.
Yeah.
They look baby-sized. Well, you go over to Disneyland Paris and you order a turkey leg and it's more like a sparrow leg because it's tiny. It's tiny. It looks like a chicken lollipop. They're €9. They're available for a short, limited time availability. And I just think, oh, okay. It's not what we're used to as American fans. So I'm going to try one next month and take one for the team. It looks like it'll be gone in 2 mouthfuls, but we shall see. I will, try and compare it. I'll do a bit of measuring when we tape measure just to see how big this turkey leg actually is.
Yeah, we were having a bit of a laugh, weren't we, on WhatsApp the other night. Michelle did very kindly send me the comparison photos. It didn't look very appetizing next to the American version.
So it's probably healthier, though, than the American version.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have 12 billion calories in it.
Exactly.
But they are doing a great deal of good things over at Disneyland Paris, and they are really trying to get the Disneyfication into their food because we've slated them for years about the food not being as qualitative and Disney-ish as the American theme parks. And literally only today I have just received a picture of something very intriguing, and I've never actually tried one of these in a theme park before, so I'm very excited. It is called a cheesecake croquant, and it is basically a crunchy cheesecake pop. So I'm imagining a chunk of cheesecake dipped in chocolate and something around it, maybe some crystallized sugar, or maybe it's got nuts, I'm not quite sure. It's on a stick and you can eat it. And that to me is the best finger food because you don't get your fingers mucky.
That sounds amazing, though. I love cheesecake. So that is right up my alley. You must report back on that because I'd love to hear about it.
It's available at the Old Mill in DLP, and I will be crunching down on the croquant very, very soon. So that was very exciting. And that's basically all my foodie chat. And I now want to take us over on a bit of a journey to Disneyland.
Ooh.
Very nice.
And I've got a retheming news and a retiring news.
Oh, one new, one
now,
old.
For me, it is. And for me, one thing that makes Disneyland so amazing over and above Walt Disney World is the cast. The cast at Disneyland just have this extra bit of sparkle and oomph. Maybe it's the pride that they're working in the original park. I don't know. And there's one particular cast member who has announced his retirement from the 1st of April. And that is the amazing, the wonderful Maynard. 28 years with the company. What an achievement, and how many memories has he made with guests to the theme park. I know I've met him quite a few times and had funny encounters with him. If you've ever been in the tiki room with him to hear his spiel, oh my word, it's enough to bring tears to your eyes with laughter because he had such an amazing ability for improv and hilarity and clowning around. He was amazing, and I think the last time I was in Disneyland, I caught up with him outside Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and he literally took me on a little tour all around, and he had this wonderful little language that was just Maynardisms, and he was fabulous. So I wish him all the best. Did you ever have the pleasure of bumping into him, Tom?
I'm sure I would have seen him because I've been to the Tiki Room in Disneyland several times. I never knew who he was. I didn't know him like that. So I'm sure I've been in the room when he's been there. It's a bummer that I never got to meet him. He sounds amazing. And what a cool memory for you that he got to take you around to places and stuff. That's really neat.
It was, well, the first time I went to Disneyland, literally my friend dragged me to the Tiki Room and says, we've got to go and find out if Maynard is working. And it sort of flipped between there. It'd sometimes be over at the Haunted Mansion. And such an amazing person. He even has his own fan page on Facebook. That's the standard, to be a really good cast member, to have your own Facebook group. So we wish him all the very, very best. So that was my retiring. And my retheming, I'm handing over to Jane because she's got some rumour news about Paradise Pier Hotel.
Yeah, so there's a bit of rumour going on about it possibly being rethemed to a Toy Story theme. Now, over in Tokyo, we know that they've got a Toy Story themed hotel just about to be open. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think Shanghai's got one as well. So there's been some concept art leaked that implies that the same thing is going to be happening to Paradise Pier. The little bits that I've seen online show the entrance to the hotel, and there's like crayons for like bollards and things like that outside the front. And lots of, I suppose, similar to what you maybe see in Toy Story Land, that's sort of the oversized toys so that you feel shrunk down in comparison to what's around you. Some beautiful looking big murals on the walls as you go inside the lobby. There's a Buzz and a Woody statuette thing in the lobby with balloons hanging down and hanging off the balloons. You've got like Jessie and different other characters. There is like an overlay onto the elevator so that the elevator looks like the packaging of Buzz's lightship to go up. So lots of cool looking features. I've never been to the Paradise Pier Hotel. I don't know whether you've been in there, Michelle. I don't know how well you think this would fit with the aesthetics of that hotel.
I think the hotel really doesn't have any aesthetics, to be honest.
Okay.
So having a theme to it would be absolutely fantastic. And I've only been over to it once, or maybe twice. I went a couple of Christmases ago to have a look at the Christmas offerings, the decorations, which were beautiful. And I've eaten there a couple of times as well I think I had a breakfast and a dinner there. But yeah, I think some theming is brilliant because it does definitely up the experience and keeps you within that Disney bubble if your hotel is themed to a particular franchise that you love. And what better than Toy Story?
Yeah, I mean, it looks really cute. I mean, there's one image where the ceiling, if you look up, it's like a Scrabble board, and they've got words like laid out already that would imply, I think one says howdy and one says Woody. At the check-in desks, a couple of the desks are shaped like Rubik's Cubes. So playing into that whole aspect of take those classic toys that we all know and love and then incorporate them as oversized versions around the hotel. There's a big Luxor lamp as well and things like that. So it's very much, I think, in line with what they've done over in Tokyo or are doing in Tokyo. And I think there has been a few comparisons to say, actually, these are the same concept art that was released over there as well. But it would perhaps appear that it could be a bit of a case of, well, what we've got over there is working, so we'll adapt the same over here. Quite a cutie one of the pool image where you've got Partysaurus Rex overlooking the pool area. And again, with all the big oversized rubber ducks with water coming out the mouths and things like that. So I can imagine for kids that absolutely love it. And I actually don't know about kids. I probably love it as well, to be fair, because I love Toy Story. That's one of those things that as the first one came out when my son was only little, it was been a bit of a passage for us to go through them all. So I remember sitting watching Toy Story with my firstborn on repeat for quite a lot of times. I think we always just get so far through and then he'd fall asleep. So I think I saw the beginning 20 minutes more times than I would care to remember if I'm being honest. But yeah, it looks really cute. So there's no confirmation of dates or anything like that as yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it'd be cool change to happen, I think.
What about you, Tom? Any experience over at the Paradise Pier Hotel?
I haven't been there as much as we used to go to the Disneyland Hotel. I think that's the other one where we would just go walk around there, and then we'd go up and look at the outside of the themed rooms just to see the doors and stuff, because they have like a Pirates themed room. I can't remember that one. I just remember the Pirates one specifically. We'd go around and just walk the hallways, and then we went to the Grand Californian and walked around there a lot. But Paradise Pier, I'm not as familiar with. But that retheming sounds really neat. It almost sounds the outside like it might be a bit like Pop Century, like where lots of huge toys, you know what I mean, that you look around and see. I think that's really cool. I think it's a good thing.
Anything as an improvement is a good thing in my book. So, yeah. So let's move on to our main discussion, because we know we love you because of your music that you have entertained us with, relaxed us, soothed us, held our hands with through COVID over the last few years. Because I personally, when I feel really, really stressed, I've put on one of your tracks, I've de-stressed and whatever. And it's that time where you're ready to release some new music, which as Disney fans, I get really excited about, because I love the music. I absolutely love the way that you construct your pieces and put them together. We thought, we can't wait to have you on the show to talk a little bit about the pieces. But before we do, if you could tell us a little bit about how you came about choosing the tracks that you have for this piece, and then we'll talk through them in turn.
Sounds great. First of all, thank you for all of that. I really appreciate it. And it helps, because when I'm sitting here writing or arranging the songs and playing them on the piano and mixing them, it's just myself here. So you never really know how people are going to react to what you've done. Will they like it? Does it sound good enough? So to hear those kind of compliments come back is really, it's just really makes me feel good, because it makes me feel like I did something right. And it's not just, I'm not just putting out stuff that people don't like. So that's really cool. And it is therapeutic for me to sit and play these Disney songs, because as we've talked before, they're such a part of my childhood as much as part of all of our childhood. So to be able to record them is therapeutic and very peaceful for me to do as well. So it's really cool. And I had a bunch of songs that I had written down that I had wanted to cover someday, but never did yet. And then I had one song that I wanted to redo as a lullaby, which was the Star Wars main theme. So I've recorded that before, but it's new on this album. And I had a song from when we did last year, when you put out to your listeners, what are some songs you'd like on the Magical Meditations album? I went through some of those other songs that I couldn't use on that one to put on this one. So it's kind of an eclectic mix of stuff that I've wanted to record but never did. And I did want to put on a couple modern songs on there as well. So that's kind of how I came up with this song list. And of course, there's one original song on there, which we'll talk about.
Okay, well, I'm going to hand over to Jane, because she'd like to talk, I think, about, there's a particular song on there that I think's very close to her heart, and she'd like to start off the discussion about.
Okay.
Are you talking Star Wars, Michelle?
I am indeed. How did you guess? I'm going to leave you two Star Wars nerds to talk about it.
All right. Here we go.
She knows more than she's letting on, really. Don't let that fool you, Tom. One moment. Well, there's two Star Wars tracks, isn't there? Because we've got the Star Wars theme, which you've just alluded to, and we've also got Grogu's Lullaby.
Yes, I had a vision of starting and ending the album with Star Wars, just for fun, because I love it and I'm a big fan, and I thought it would be kind of nice. And I had a vision of doing the Star Wars main theme, but kind of in a lullaby kind of mood. So it's softer. It's not really loud and boisterous. It's softer and more reflective. So I wanted to start the album with the main theme of Star Wars. And then I was inspired to write a lullaby for Grogu, because I thought wouldn't it be cute to have his own theme song, if you will, or his own lullaby that kind of fit into the theme of this album. So I wrote him a lullaby, and I put that as the last song on the album. So I thought it's kind of fitting. They're like bookends, The
Yes,
album starts
definitely.
with Star Wars and ends with Star Wars. So I kind of did it that way for fun.
And it's such, I say, you're so used to the Star Wars theme being that full orchestra, like you say, that
Yes.
bombastic almostness to it, isn't it? Because it's so iconic. So it's so interesting to hear it in such a stripped back version, if you like.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good. I mean, I really thought slowing it down and giving it a stripped down feel, how would that feel? But it's a beautiful melody. But of course, it's John Williams.
Yeah.
So he's such a brilliant writer that a lot of his tracks or a lot of his songs and themes, could be played fast or slower or medium. He's very good at writing melodies that can be treated different ways and sound still great. So I love the Star Wars main theme when it's loudness, when it comes on, and we all love it, but we rarely hear it really soft and slow and meditative. So I thought that would be different to try, and see how it turned out.
So writing Grogu's Lullaby, you weren't intimidated then by the John Williams isness around the whole Star Wars music?
Well, because no one has written a lullaby for Grogu, I thought, okay, I'm okay. I don't have to compare myself to him. I mean, he is my musical idol. But I don't know, I was inspired by just thinking about Grogu and the character that's on Mandalorian and how he's so loved throughout the world. And I just thought, let's write him a cute lullaby, and see how it goes.
Because he's too cute not to have a lullaby, really, isn't he?
Oh, he's just the best. Even I just, he's just magic. It's just one of those magical characters that they just hit it out of the park with, I think.
Definitely. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for season 3, but we'll digress.
Me too.
So this is the danger, Michelle. You get me talking about Star Wars, and you know where it's going to go. I will go off music and onto Star Wars.
Yes, that's why I'm
I know, right? We
got to
be careful
in and stopping you because
Okay.
one of my fondest memories was myself, Tom, and another listener of ours, Joe. We were in downtown Disney in Disneyland, and we were trying on all the different hats in the world of Disney. And I remember trying on Star Wars effect hats, and it was such a fun afternoon where I'd introduced you to the Earl of Sandwich and things like that. And
Yes. Oh, yes.
happy days. Anyway, back to the music. I would like to put forth one of my songs that I absolutely adore, and I'm quite curious about how you came to choose this one, because over at Walt Disney World at Epcot, they are starting to do some special sort of little enhancements on Spaceship Earth with the lighting and the music, and people lost their bejuboos over one particular one that happened, and this was the Rainbow Connection, aka Muppets musical masterpiece. So
Yes.
this has been included on this album. Did you include it before that happened? After that happened? Was it a coincidence? Come on, tell me everything.
It was actually a little bit of both, because I had thought about putting Rainbow Connection in beforehand because of the Muppets, and it was one of the first songs that I had learned how to play in high school when I was starting to be the accompanist for a show choir. And we learned a Muppets medley theme, or a Muppets medley song. It was like a bunch of songs put together. And I remember learning all these songs for the first time, and I really loved them. And I knew it had a connection to Disney, but I didn't know if I was going to put it on the album. And I put a post on Facebook asking people, should I put this on there or not? Because I wanted to know if people would want to hear that or not. But everyone said, yes, put it on. So then I went on YouTube and I happened to catch the Epcot show of Rainbow Connection on Spaceship Earth, and I just fell in love. That show was amazing. It was just so beautiful how they did it. And then that's what for sure put it on for me. I was like, I have to put this on there. And that's how that happened.
I just listened and it was like, oh my word. I put it on for my husband because my husband is a monster Muppets fan. And I mean, the monsterest of Muppet fans. Literally, it comes to Christmas and it's Muppet Christmas songs all the time. And I'm talking Christmas for him starts September. And he plays Christmas music from September. And it's got to be the Muppets ones. And he is bonkers. And I played it for him and he sort of, normally sat there scrolling on his phone, and he put his phone down and listened. And he said, wow, that was, great praise from him to say, wow, he really enjoyed it. Because he very rarely says anything, doesn't he, Shane?
I'm not commenting when he's not here to defend himself, Michelle.
He didn't get a word in edgeways, Tom, let's be honest. But, yeah, so for me, that is one. And that, for me, as a Snow White fan, to rank that one above Snow White takes some doing, because obviously...
It's amazing.
I like to think you thought of me when you had added in a Snow White song. Just my ego's
Michelle,
just going a bit berserk here.
You know I did. I was actually thinking of you while I was recording Whistle While You Work. And I kept thinking, I wonder if Michelle's going to like this, because it's a little different. It's not the normal... thing. I mean, if we want to get to that song, we could talk about it. But I totally did think of you while I was recording that, because I know how much you love Snow White.
I do. Anyway, let's just pause for a moment, because I do want to share a little bit of the Rainbow Connection with everybody so that they can all enjoy it.
Okay.
So let's just pop that on. Okay, so we've had our Muppet musical interlude. Let's talk about Snow White and Whistle While You Work, because it is a very different interpretation, as you alluded to earlier. And I suppose I'm quite interested as a fan of your music and also of Snow White. And how did you put together such a song that has such an essence of the original? I want to know how you do it, because it's just wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I have always loved the music of Snow White. It's classic. It's some of the first Disney stuff I've learned. It's been with me for a long time. But I wanted to do a song. I wanted to do Whistle While You Work, but I wanted to present it differently than just a straight interpretation on the piano. And I thought, well, this is interesting, because the song is in 4/4 timing, which is generally how a lot of pop songs are, which means you count 4 beats per measure. Now, waltzes are in 3/4 timing, which means you count 3 beats in a measure, which means it's going to have a totally different feel. And if you think about a waltz, and you could feel how different that is from a normal like pop song on the radio. So what I wanted to do was see if Whistle While You Work would work as a waltz, kind of that feeling in 3/4 timing. And that's what I experimented with and came up with, and wanted to present it in that different way. I think it turned out really well. I really love it. And it just it's a different interpretation of the song, but I think it still does kind of retain the essence of the original, that happy-go-lucky kind of feel. And I'd be interested to see what people think of it when they listen to it.
Well, let's give them an opportunity now. Okay, Jane, you've spoken Grogu. I've spoken Muppets and Snow White. I'm handing the mantle back to you.
Well, I'm intrigued because there's two tracks on here that are, I suppose you would consider the most modern tracks. So, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce the one from Encanto because I'm going to fall over it. So there's a track from Encanto and there's How Far I'll Go, which I absolutely love the song anyway. And I love your interpretation of it. So what drew you to those two tracks with them being the more modern of the tracks on here?
Well, I've always wanted to record How Far I'll Go because I love Lin-Manuel Miranda's work. I think he is kind of the new Alan Menken of Disney. Like he's been writing some really cool stuff. His stuff is complicated to play on piano. If you notice, as I'm sure when you listen to his soundtracks, there's a lot of words in his songs. So sometimes it's kind of tricky to get those out on a piano. It might not sound as good or might sound kind of dumb, but I wanted to record How Far I'll Go and Dos Oruguitas from Encanto. I know I kind of have to think about before I say the name of that song too.
Yeah, I saw U's and G's and I's. I thought I'm never going to say it properly.
But I loved that song from Encanto because that's the song they used when they showed what happened, how Encanto was built, how the house, what happened to the family, and it was such a beautiful, bittersweet, heartbreaking moment in that film. But I thought the song captured that emotion so well. So I wanted to do just a pretty much straightforward solo piano version of it, just so an instrumental. So if someone might want to listen to it without words, they could do that. So, but I was very moved I knew I wanted to do something from Encanto, and I love that ballad. And then How Far I'll Go, I've always loved Moana. I think the music is great. I think the story's great. And I thought that was just a great power ballad from that show that I thought might be fun to tear back a little bit, make it a little softer. Because if you notice on the song, it only builds and gets louder at the end of the piece. But I thought it'd be fun to keep it kind of subdued for the whole song, just so it's kind of reflective. And that's how I decided to do those two. That's the direction I wanted to take with those two songs.
Well, I must admit, I'm a bit of a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan. I kind of found him a little bit later on, I suppose, but I am enjoying his work. So it's nice to hear someone else's take on something that's been created. And I do love Moana. I think the songs in the whole movie are very eclectic, and I think that's the thing with his work. It's like I say, it's a little bit all over the place, and how he gets all those words into those songs. I'm not going to attempt to sing them. They are songs that I will actually not sing along with, but I will just actually enjoy. Maybe that's the whole point. You don't sing along, you'd actually enjoy them for a change. I don't know.
He does amazing work. It's complicated. I mean, I had to practice those songs a lot. I mean, people think sometimes like when you go to record a song, you just sit there and record it. I mean, it takes days, weeks sometimes to record one song. So I was really, especially Dos Oruguitas, I just wanted to make sure I wanted to keep all that emotion, that's in the song, in the piano. So I really worked hard on that one. And I worked hard on How Far I'll Go too, because there was a lot of tricky syncopation in that song. But I just wanted to do the best that I could with it.
Well, I must admit, I don't have a musical bone in my body. My daughter plays guitar, but I don't do nothing at all. So anybody that can create music, I will bow down to you, because it's a skill that I wish I could have.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jane.
Go on then, Jane. What track would you like us to play an extract from now? Well,
you know what I'm going to say, because it's one of my all-time favourite Disney films, and that's Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked that, because I love that song. And I wanted to do it in a slow, more reflective way. As you know, this is another song where it only gets really loud at the end. Of my arrangement, I'm saying. But I wanted to make it really light, fun, but yet a little reflective. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the middle of the bridge of the song where it says life is so unnerving for a servant who's not serving, when they go through that whole thing, I turned that part into a waltz. Because a lot of the... Yes, if you notice, it sounds a little different than the rest of the song, because in the song, there's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
Lumiere talks that a lot instead of singing the melody. So I thought, how can I do the melody to make it more creative, where it's not just so boring? And I thought, let's put that part in 3/4 time. So it sounds a little bit French, a little bit like you're listening to an accordion on a street corner kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I did that there, but then the rest of the song is in the regular 4/4 time. And I love how it turned out. And I have to tell you, I recorded, that song took me like 5 days.
Wow.
I must have played that song like 200 times to get it exactly the way I wanted it, because I love that song. It's one of my favorite Disney movies, Beauty and the Beast, and I just wanted to do it its proper credit. So I really like how it turned out. But yeah, so that's the story behind Be Our Guest.
Cool.
You've just spoken there, that particular track took a while for you to get right. Which one came together the quickest?
Mm-hmm. I will say the Star Wars main theme, because that song is so much a part of me. I mean, that song I could play in and out 24 hours a day. That came pretty easy. And I would have to say God Help the Outcasts came. It wasn't like, I didn't do it in one take, but that flowed pretty easily, because again, Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of my favorite scores of all time from Alan Menken, and I wanted to do one of his songs on this album. So I thought that was a good one to do to kind of fit the mood of the album. But that one came pretty easy to me as well. I've always loved God Help the Outcast. It's a beautiful, beautiful melody.
I was just going to say, I must admit, Hunchback of Notre Dame is a film that I watched when it very first came out, and I will hold my hand up and say I probably need to go back and watch it again.
I have to say, it's really, it's a movie for adults. It really is. It's really not a movie for kids. It's very dark. It's very deep. But the story is wonderful. The music, I thought, was some of Alan Menken's best work. It's very serious. I mean, there's a lot of serious stuff in there. And I don't know if you notice, you probably not if you've only seen it one time, but like in the instrumentals, the score that's taking place underneath the movie, they weaved in a lot of Latin chants in the music, a lot of choir singing. They really grasped like that whole time frame, I thought. And it was just a beautiful, stunning film, but it's definitely not a film for kids, and it wasn't that popular, I think, because of that. Yeah.
Well, note to self, go back and rewatch it soon, Jane.
Give it a rewatch and see what you think now that there's been a lot of time passed, and just see what you think of it.
Definitely.
Interesting. Now, I hate to ask you this because it's like asking a mum which is their favourite child. But is there something? Is there a track that sort of holds in your heart the deepest, and the one that, if I were to say, right, go open up the piano and play it now, which track would it be?
Oh my goodness, that is hard. Now, I don't think I could pick my own song, right? Because that would be kind of weird to say Grogu's Lullaby, because I do love that, how that turned out. But I honestly would have to say Be Our Guest, because I just had so much fun playing it and trying to figure it out for this album. And I love the song. Of course, we all love the music and the story and everything. I really love how that came together. So I would have to say Be Our Guest is probably my favorite.
I'll go with that.
That's
we're
not bad,
biased because we both love the movie, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
And I actually just rewatched Beauty and the Beast a couple weeks ago, and it's still like a brilliant film. Like, you sit there and cry at the end and you laugh, and it's a beautiful score. I mean, that movie really holds up. It's a classic.
Definitely.
Oh. Now, this comes out on the 1st of April. We're releasing this show on the 20th of March. So our listeners are getting a really big sneaky peek at your music.
Oh.
Where can they get hold of it from the 1st of April?
It's going to be available everywhere on the 1st of April. So if you're on Spotify or Apple Music, Amazon, any one of those services, you can stream it for free. would just have to look for, my name, Tom Amin, or put in The Softer Side of Magic. That's the name of the album. It'll come up. Or you can just go to my website, tomaminmusic.com, and it'll be right there on the front page. And there'll be links to where you can listen to or buy the MP3s if you want.
Perfect. And we will link all of that in on our website, disneydreamgirls.com, with the link where you can go over and see Tom's website, listen to the music, find out what else he's up to, because I'm quite curious as well, thinking, how have things been for you during the COVID times? Because obviously one of the things I know you do is you do piano lessons. You also work in entertainment establishments, and that has been two parts of the industries that have been really badly hit. How have you been?
Yeah, it's been really rough because all those jobs went away during COVID. There was no restaurants, there were no hotels to play at, there were no gigs, no weddings, parties, all of that stuff went away. So it was a tough couple years. It's finally starting to come back now. So for example, I've just re-signed up there's like certain gig websites that I'm part of here in California and to get hired for gigs. And I just signed up again for those. And so it's slowly starting to come back, but it was a struggle, as I'm sure, so many other people had the same struggle. But it was difficult. It was not easy, I have to say. So I hope we're on the upside of this now. That's my fingers are crossed for that.
Fingers and toes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Whilst we've spoken about your music, we also mentioned it in that little bit of a discussion about Epcot. I gather California local. Where do you pop to for a theme park visit? Epcot. So tell us a little bit about that visit.
I went in late January, early February. I met my dad down in Florida, and we went and visited some family there. And I just wanted to spend some time with him. And we decided to go to Epcot for a day, just to go into the park. And we had a really good time. I mean, it was really crowded. There's no downtime anymore, with these parks. There's no off season. So we had been there many times before. So I was lucky in the fact that I didn't have to go on every ride that I wanted to, but we didn't do the Genie Plus. We didn't do the Lightning Lane. We didn't do any of that stuff. So unfortunately, a couple of the new rides I was not able to go on. I really wanted to see Ratatouille, but the line was just way too long. And we wanted to go on Test Track, but I think that day it was broke down or something. And then it came back up, but then the wait was really long. But aside from that, we had a great time because we went to the World Showcase, got to look around the countries, ate some lunch at the Land Pavilion, which we kind of like to do, and did that. Went on some simple ride. Soarin' is always great. My dad had never seen the movie that's in the land with what's the actor's name from Modern Family that talks about the environment, and they make it. Have you seen that? It's called, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a 20-minute movie you can go in and see in the land. Well, anyway, we went in and did that. It was really nice. And we just had a really nice, relaxing day there. So we had a pretty good time.
Oh,
and of course, we had to go on Spaceship Earth. That's my favorite ride. So either in the beginning or at the end of the night, one of those two. So we went on towards the end, as we were leaving the park, we got on Spaceship Earth before we left. And that's kind of like the cherry on top of the sundae for me for a day at Epcot.
Always is for everyone, really. It's just the perfect relaxing way just to sort of go, and done.
It was so nice. And I'm so glad that they brought back the Coca-Cola area and stuff. So we got to taste all the Coca-Colas from around the world. It's just those little fun things that Epcot brings that I really enjoy. So we got to do all of that stuff, which was really cool.
And linking into that, one of the things that I personally enjoy in the theme park isn't necessarily an attraction as in as a ride, but it's the interactions I have with the entertainment, the streetmosphere, the live music and the performances and things. And Jane, something that we didn't mention in the beginning with the news is that one thing that Jane and I both love is the Festival of the Lion King over in Walt Disney World.
I love that too. Love it.
And we've just heard the Tumbling Monkeys are coming back.
Yay.
It's the little things like this that makes us so excited. But on what they take, on the other hand, they take away. And I gather that the dinner show, the luau show over at the Polynesian, is going. And in its
Oh,
place, there's going to be a new DVC wing built up. So we will see whether the Polynesian at some point returns to having some kind of traditional type show with the dancers and the fire breathers, etc. But it's a shame to lose something that many people have enjoyed.
yeah, and that makes that hotel so unique. I would think they would want to bring that back at some point. You know,
But land is precious, and hotel rooms bring in a lot more money than a dinner show.
that's true. That is true.
But thinking of in-park entertainment, there's so much, and music plays such a massive part of it, doesn't it?
It totally does. Even one of my favorites too, besides The Lion King, I love that show, which is fantastic. But I also love the Voices of Liberty and the America Pavilion at Epcot. That singing group is phenomenal. So anyone that's listening, if you ever go to Epcot, if you've never heard them, if you get a chance to go listen to them, they are phenomenal in person. I mean, just stunning. So I love them too.
Do you know what? You have just got my friend Anthony Markham just giving you a virtual high five, because I think on his
Nice.
last couple of trips, he's literally listened to them about 12 times because he just loves them. So he completely would agree with you there.
It's totally true. I mean, their sound is so lush and it's so pop and so brilliant that you could sit there for hours and listen to them. A good a cappella group is good when you don't miss the instruments, when it's just their voices and that's all that you need. And they they deliver that. Yeah, they're a fantastic group.
Yeah. Just let's keep the musicians as well, to keep the people like yourself
I know.
in an
Exactly.
occupation, because we do love your musical side that you do bring to us. And as I said at the beginning, the comfort it's given me when I'm having one of those nights, it's 3:00 in the morning, I can't sleep, and I want something just to sort of wind me off to sleep. I put my headphones on, and then next thing I know, it's 7:00 in the morning, and I'm time to get up.
Good. I'm so glad that my music helps. That's all that matters. So I'm so glad. Thank you.
If you want to catch Tom's music again, tomameanmusic.com. Please go and visit. You'll be able to purchase The Softer Side of Disney from the 1st of April. We'll put everything you need to know on DisneyDreamGirls.com. You can find more from us on Instagram and Twitter at DisDreamGirls. We've mentioned our blog, DisneyDreamGirls.com. And we also have our Disney Dream Girls podcast family over on Facebook, where we share our love for things. And it'd be great for you guys to let us know which is your favourite track, and we'll pass this all on to Tom, because he would love to find out, I'm sure.
Yes, I would love to. Please let me know, for sure.
Right, guys, until next time, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Hey, I've always wanted to say that.